Dear viewers, this is Shashank and you're watching HW News English. Welcome to this special live. Today, the Supreme Court, while hearing the alleged tampering in the mayoral election case, has ordered the production of the ballot papers and video of the counting of votes in Chandigarh mayoral polls by 2 p.m. on Tuesday. The court also slammed the returning officer Anil Maish, saying that he must be prosecuted for defacing ballot papers. A little backgrounder for our viewers. The Chandigarh mayor polls, which was scheduled on January 18th, were rescheduled for February 6th after Anil Maish got unwell on the day of polling. The Aam Aadmi Party and Congress allied to dethrone the Bharatiya Janata Party. The Bharatiya Janata Party had the support of 14 councillors, ex-officio member Kiran Kher and one councillor of the Shiromani Akali Dal, which brings the number to 16 in a house of 35 councillors. The Aam Aadmi Party had the support of 13 councillors and the Congress had 7, which is 4 more than the Bharatiya Janata Party Shiromani Akali Dal alliance. But the twist in the tale is that the returning officer Anil Maish declared 8 votes of the India alliance as invalid. He also allegedly defaced the ballot paper and the BJP candidate was declared the mayor. Later, Aam Aadmi Party Congress mayor candidate Kuldeep Kumar knocked the doors of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court called the act as murder of democracy. The latest update in the case is the mayor has resigned and 3 Aam Aadmi Party councillors quit to join the Bharatiya Janata Party. And today, the Supreme Court bench headed by Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, has ordered the production of the ballot papers and video of the counting of votes in Chandigarh mayoral polls by 2 p.m. on Tuesday. The CGI has also said that the returning officer should be prosecuted. While hearing the matter, the apex court refused to carry out fresh elections and proposed the declaration of the results after the recounting of votes that were cast during the controversial Chandigarh mayoral polls. The court also expressed concerns about the horse trading. The court also directed the Registrar General of the Punjab and Haryana High Court to depute a judicial officer to bring the records safely to Delhi. The votes will be counted by disregarding the X marks. The court stated that it will ask the Deputy Commissioner of Chandigarh to nominate a neutral officer to be the returning officer to count the ballots and declare the results. To discuss more on this, today I have with me Mr. Viplav Sharma, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court. Viplav sir, first of all, thank you very much for joining in. Your opening remarks on what the Supreme Court has said regarding the Chandigarh mayor polls. Sir, I think you are on mute, sir. Yeah.
Namaskar. I would just think that the Supreme Court, these oral observations, which is being seen all over the media and elsewhere, that basically, according to my opinion, displays the concern or the anxiety or the agony by the Honorable Supreme Court of what happened. And of course, it's a court of law, and it would not definitely take any decision which may be seen as taken in haste of whatever has happened. They would definitely like to go into it and try and pass such orders or directions for such thing not to happen again in future. So those are the things that would also have to be taken care of, which I believe would also be in the minds of their lordships. So, but what has happened has been very apparent, and nobody could, look away from what the whole nation has seen it. So, but it has to be, because we are a country of rule of law. So if the law has been violated or has been disregarded or disrespected by any of the authority, Honorable Supreme Court definitely would like to create a mechanism that in future such thing should not happen, and they are not supposed to the court, the highest institution, judicial side, coming out that there is it's a serious comment that there is a murder of democracy coming by the highest court in a democratic country as we claim ourselves to be. So it is equal responsibility to all three wings of the government. And since the judicial side has extra responsibility as a watchdog or something, whatever is happening concerning the democratic process, and they are the custodian of the democracy. So I'm sure that they are going to do something, or they're going to create such mechanism in the happening of the election process, or otherwise, or at least do some observation that such conduct is the presiding officer, returning officer, or election commission should know that each of their action, inaction, if it runs fouls to the free and fair election, or going south to the democratic process of election, then obviously they are accountable to the judicial forum. Something of that sort should happen for sure. See, this gentleman was very the lowest in the rank, but it has to. But nevertheless, he was an integral part of the election process and election commission. So, election commission is equally accountable to this. I mean, I don't know how they're going to look upon it, but it's something very, very serious. It is actually been happening, but it has, when it went into excess, then it came in limelight for everyone to see.
Sir, as a person who views laws, who studies laws, who practices law, I want to ask you, how severe is this act which has been committed? Because one custodian, who is a custodian of the election, now he's a returning officer, he was supposed to conduct elections. So such an act, how serious is this act, sir?
See, it doesn't need any comment. Everybody knows how it is. The only thing is this gentleman got caught. You have to be very, very fair. And fair means, according to my opinion, I'm speaking for myself, is wherever election is happening. And to run for election is all citizens' right. And the right to elect the person of choice is the right of the electorate. It has to be the highest, to the maximum degree of free and fair. Now, how do we do it? Till now, I mean, I have been involved in few of the litigation relating to election matters. The thing is that if anything goes wrong, you only have a remedy to file election petition, which doesn't get decided for the whole 5-year term. So that election challenge, maybe it is having a merit or not merit, but it needs disposal. So that proceedings get rendered odious, it gets infructuous. Or in case if the result is there, then it is like patient, operation successful, patient dead. So till the time we have a mechanism that as soon as any foul is brought to the notice of the concerned authority as provided in law, maybe the election commission, if it's on an administrative side, or of lately, the Honorable Supreme Court has also, in 1 or 2 judgments, have said that in case if there is violation of fundamental right, or in case the principles of natural justice has been violated, then they can interfere immediately. But that is not be seen in the practice. That is more, I would say, on a theoretical side, on as far as the election commission holding the elections, or if any election goes to challenge before any of the competent judicial forum, it's just seen, no, you come by election petition, the trial will happen and all that. But there are few areas where I can understand the predicament of the election commission or the court, that once the election process is on, then it cannot be derailed, because the term of the previous body has come to an end. And if we derail this election or stall it, so to speak, the next body is not going to come. But that never has happened, because if elections of the whole election of all assembly seats are not challenged, I mean, it's unlikely. The challenge is only a few seats where the candidates are disturbed, or I mean, they are having a grievance of the election process. So those would be assuming in a seat of assembly seat or parliament seat, assuming 540 or parliament seat, there would be hardly 5 or 10. So 5 or 10 needs to be seen. So therefore, remaining 400 or maybe 520, 30, they are cautious not to do it. So what I'm saying is this is hardly seen. To check on the election process is hardly seen. So according to, I'm personally speaking to myself, subject to correction and verification if anybody wants to do it, is that the expression which is used as free and fair is only a paper document. Free and fair, it has a very, very wide meaning. It entails the whole machinery who's holding the election. It entails the forums which makes that machinery accountable to themselves. That's how the free and fair to the maximum degree can be achieved. Where I am seeing, I haven't seen anybody even to give an attempt to do a free and fair. It's just mechanical there. Yes, we are holding the free and fair election, so it's there. But practically, the free and fair election is that any challenge to any seat of any election is instantly forthwith attended to the satisfaction of not only the candidate but also to the mass, to have, for them to have the confidence, yes, these are the free and fair elections, which according to my opinion is a rare sight.
Sir, don't you think it was also the responsibility of the Election Commission of India
Yes,
to have
yes.
selected a more neutral candidate, like what the Supreme Court has also said that we will choose a more neutral candidate for the post of the returning officer. So now
Oh,
this
I will do
guy,
it. No. See, I'll tell you where the problem lies. All along, I've been working on my public interest matters. Only one thing. See, the bottom line is free and fair election. Now, the free and fair election can only take place if the person responsible to hold the election is not part of any other wing of the government. Even the appointment process of those constitutional dignitaries or their subordinates or executive side, they have to be absolutely more than 200% influence free from all the three wings of the government. Here, the system is the election commission top management, which is constitutional office. They are, correct me if I'm wrong, invariably they are the competent high level officer from administrative services, civil servants, IAS, IFS, whosoever. But they come from government side. And it is the government election which they have to hold. So unless or until I have a blessings to be there, I am not going to be there. So once I am there, so what all the person who has blessed me with the office I'm talking about, I will definitely have a soft corner. I'm not saying everybody's can be seen with eyebrows high, but why give a chance even to think about it? So therefore, one must taking cue from the article which created the election commission, we must have a whole machinery which has to be absolutely independent from judiciary, accountable to the judiciary because they have to be accountable, but influence free for the appointment purposes or for any other benefits from, definitely from executive and the legislatures, because it is these two wings they elect.
no, Viplav sir,
And we can't. I just want to say one more thing on this. Nobody can take an excuse that it will be an expensive affair. On this, I have two things to say. One, no cost, mark my word, no cost is high and higher than the democracy which we would like to prevail. No cost. This is one. Secondly, the institution and the machinery which we are creating, which I'm suggesting, just a loud thinking, then it will not sit idle. I mean, one way or the other, one election is happening in one state or the other state. The spin is for 5 years. So they're not going to sit idle, and they're not going to earn wages just for doing nothing. And they have to keep deploying the mechanisms to advance the technology, to reach to the maximum level of the voters, to get the best choice of the voters for the best democracy of the country. This can only happen, according to my opinion, is that when you have absolutely independent election commission and its office, which has to be only and only accountable to the judicial forums. Else, this is not. We're going to keep saying mockery, murder. It's just some words which you can use to console yourself. Why, in a situation state like this, we have to subject ourselves to even come to an occasion where the highest judicial body has to regret that this is a model of democracy. It's irony. It's painful.
Hmm. Sir, if we go by that logic, then now that the new election commissioner's appointment bill has also come, so
Yes.
in future more of these things are going to happen because
Yes.
earlier CGI was also there in the committee.
Yes.
Now earlier it was like leader of opposition, prime minister, and CGI. So one from the opposition, one from the ruling party, and one somebody who is independent. So now that CGI is out and somebody from the union cabinet is going to decide. So by that logic, only people who the ruling party wants to be in the committee
Voice is-
to decide the election commissioners
Your
would
voice is
decide.
gone. I missed out the last sentence. I mean, you were not audible last sentence.
Sorry.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, if you go by that logic, then the new election commissioner appointment bill also states that now that election commissioners appointment are going to take place by the ruling prime minister, the opposition leader, and one person from the union cabinet. So anybody who comes as election commissioner would have the blessing of the ruling party.
Like what I said to you, what I told you. See, this situation which has emerged or emerging. Honorable CJI is possibly, I'm not sure because I've not been in India for some time, but he has not been within that committee. This is one part. It's very irony. Secondly, if that be so, and if it is not in consonance with the scheme which triggered from the honorable apex court's adjudication, that's how this whole thing is come in, then they should so moto take action of that decision of making exit of honorable CJI from the committee or from the appointment committee, and they should strike it off. Why to even allow for a minute more? This is one. Number two, the process which I'm saying that it has to be independent body altogether. If you see the article in Constitution of India for election relating to election commission, it is not filed for falling in either of the three wings of the government. It is subsequently, after all the functions and workings and scope and other things has been defined of all three wings separately, then election commission. So it has to be, constitution framers were very intelligent. I mean, they prudently thought it to be separate. But by virtue of convention, by virtue of somebody who at that time India was just born and nobody was having an iota of thinking process as to how and what should way the democratic process to be triggered. It just went by default, and that the default thing is now what we are seeing is grown like a burger tree, and this is what we are seeing. So what I'm saying is, unless until you make the election process and election commission completely exclusive in influence, uninfluenced by the other three wings, this thing will happen. It is a government. Unfortunately, we have one kind of a government which makes an attempt to interfere in any decision which is not of their liking, and we are accepting it, and they are getting away with it. So that's the fate of the country, unless until the citizens who are electorates, we claim ourselves to be the largest democracy. By merely making such claim, um, uh, it comes with a responsibility. We need to, do something about it. You can't make omelets without breaking eggs. You need to come forward. You need to, if I am wrong, you need to tell me I am wrong, and then the qualification has to be such that I should accept, yes, I am wrong, which we don't see these days. This is what is happening.
Viplavji, now that the three Aam
I just
Aadmi
wanted
Party,
to tell you one more thing.
please, Viplavji.
On the issue of the subject matter of this gentleman, the presiding officer. I'm sure this issue will definitely be tabled during the hearing before the Honorable Supreme Court. But in case if somebody misses it out and misses to bring it to the attention of the Honorable Supreme Court, I just want to say something. I was just, when you had a word with me, I had a quick review of the law relating to the elections of the mayor or anybody in Punjab. So this is that article. Can you see this? Rule 33? 33? Now this Rule 33 says, see, the presiding officer, correct me if I'm wrong, the presiding officer is trying to make a justification that no, I was just trying to make it a mark and to keep it separately. I have no intention to, waste a vote, so to speak, to facilitate gain to some other person. That is not he intended to do. That's what his justification is saying. Now, Rule 33 just says the voter, there are not too many voters, hardly 25, 30 voters were there. So a voter who has inadvertently so spoiled his ballot paper that it cannot be used as a valid ballot paper. The voter also knows that if I put 2 ticks, okay, so therefore he has a right to give his ballot back to the presiding officer and take a new one and cast his poll. So therefore there is no occasion for the presiding officer to do this drill. Whether I have done it or I assume I'm a voter, I had put 2, 3 cross. That also would not give concession to the presiding officer to put a point, even a dot on the ballot paper. So he's using the pen or the ballot paper is a heinous crime committed. He basically betrayed his official duties. He betrayed the trust of the people, and he should not be allowed to go scot-free by observing process of rule of law of his prosecution. He should be given such punishment, at least for others to learn that, all right, I mean, we can't do this. It should be set as an example.
No, but Viplavji, you earlier only told that he was sitting there with the blessings of some higher authorities. So do you think there would be...
I agree with you there. I agree there. But the matter is now before the third wing. It's before the Honorable Supreme Court. It's before the judicial forum where the accountability is there. So therefore, this is the least anybody would expect the lordships to at least restore, protect, and enforce the democratic process of selecting a system. This is the least one can expect.
No, now that the court has said that the X marks that he made and the votes that he considered as in, now that the court has said that the votes that he disregarded are not going to be considered. The votes that he considered as invalid is not going to be counted, and it is going.
You have to come again, please.
Viplavji, what I'm saying is, now that the court has said that all the votes would be counted, and those votes that the presiding officer had considered as invalid are also going to be counted. The court has said that, but on the other hand, yesterday evening we saw three of Aam Aadmi Party councillors suddenly they felt that they are got inspired from Prime Minister Modi and they switched sides and they came to the Aam Aadmi Party. They got suddenly they got inspired. So now the situation is if there would have been a re-election, then
I'm
obviously
sorry, Shashankji. I'm sorry. Did they use inspired or did they use expression lured?
inspired.
On a lighter side.
Yeah, okay. So suddenly they got inspired, and then now what we can see is that if we see the numbers, exactly they got the magic number, that is 19 if the re-election would have if announced. But now that the Supreme Court said that no questions on re-elections, the exactly what that day the voting had taken place, that would be considered. So, do you think this would be the first time if the status quo is maintained after
Let's
whatever the
see.
vote?
You see, Shashank Bhai, you got to see it to believe it. Let's see the order in black and white first. Okay? Like, for example, I'm just talking about my professional opinion, just an illustration. In Maharashtra case, it was declared, the whole process was unconstitutional, right? Maharashtra Shinde matter. Remember that?
Yes, yes.
Now, it was very specific and very expressive declaration by the Honorable Court that the whole thing is unconstitutional. The minute one declares this, any judicial institution declares this, the Constitution, the natural corollary cannot be given a go by. That means it needs to be whatever you're declaring to be unconstitutional, it is required to be quashed. It is notwithstanding what consequences would follow or not. That is, there are many case laws of Honorable Supreme Court. They are not supposed to see as to what will happen if they would pass an order which is to be passed as a natural corollary as to what and how happened. That is for the state to see as to why they ended up doing wrong things, which has been set right by the Honorable Supreme Court or any High Court for that matter. So therefore, what I'm saying is, in this matter also, you got to see to believe it. We don't know what.
No, Vipla, you what
Now
I'm
I'm coming
saying
to
is,
your three. Now I'm coming to your three thing. That's something. I'm a slightly public spirited lawyer, so I would like to add few things here and there from my side. I'm sorry about it.
no
Now
problem.
coming to those three things is that if you see that defection law, it does not permit these three to go and join wherever they've joined. It does not. Because what is now left out in that defection law is merger. So in case if the AAP party, if they hail from AAP political party, and if the whole AAP party is getting merged with BJP, I can understand that. Then what they wanted to achieve, they would have achieved. But in law, the three persons leaving one political party, which had set them for as their candidature to run in for elections and have returned back to the house or to the office, they, according to my opinion, professional opinion, on the touchstone of the defection law as contained in the Constitution of India, that concept of one third is nowhere there. It's been omitted. So if I have been identified as AAP candidate, I win whether I got inspired, lured, or whatever by X person. It does not give me concession to leave the party which has fielded me for election and go and join somebody else. This is unconstitutional. This cannot be permitted. Now, if that be so, if that is the correct situation, people are more wiser than I am to examine it. And if they see that, then these three, if they have already joined, then even assuming, let's take it a little further, then if they have, by virtue of doing that, they also know, everybody knows the law. I mean, I'm not saying something which is rocket science. They also know. So maybe there is a ploy that then these three, by virtue of such declarations, get defected and then they're ousted. So you are -3. The winning side is -3. Then you have to see what equation it comes to. So the question is not that they got merged there. The question is by their such declaration, they would no longer be up and no longer in the as a winning candidate also, because that defection was they have to immediately vacate. So therefore, then the 3 seats will be there. Then you will have a fresh election for those 3 seats. You get my point? So therefore, those 3 seats can then be pushed to swing to for what purposes these three gentlemen officially saying this. This is the second innings it will come in. So if the difference is only 3 seats, so these gentlemen are not inspired to join them. These three gentlemen are inspired to make such declarations so that they lose their seats and the fresh by-election take place. And then all those 3 elections will make whatever they had been seeking to make. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know whether you agree with me or not.
Yeah. Viplavji, one last question that I have is, now that the Supreme Court has asked to prosecute the returning officer, what punishment do you think, according to law, he is liable to?
See, the law is very no. See, we would not know as to under what charges he will be prosecuted. See, the punishment is commensurating to the charges leveled against the accused person. That's how the level of offense is the degree of a punishment which is provided in the law. Now, according to my opinion, this conduct is no less than anti-national act. I'm seeing that way. I'm seeing that far. Because once you set an example, then at least it may possibly curb such practice in future. They know that you are exposed to this. And anything which you need to discipline, punishment is inevitable. You can't think that he has a family. Why he's a family, then he should have thought 200 times before he did it. He had shaken up the confidence of the voters. I'm not saying 200 voters, 20 voters, but the process is that he's disturbed it. So he need to be set an example. I'm not against him. I don't hardly know his name and all that, but I know he has betrayed the mechanism and the system which all of us Indians, now 140 plus crores, have given to ourselves. How can he be allowed to go scot-free? And not only scot-free, he had to be made. That's again. I'm trying to tell again. He has to be made set an example. For that, you need to know exactly what charge. You can't just say it was an inadvertent error. He looked at the camera. He just remarked. No, it was deliberate. It was, and camera never lies. So therefore, he just got caught. And we don't know how many people of little bit incentive here and there. They hardly think the consequences. This is the way. See, I'm a democratic country. We voters would like to run the country the way we want it. Not one presiding officer sitting and telling us, no, this is the way the country will run. Not accept. I mean, for me, it's not acceptable. That's how it gets pretty serious.
Later
Forget about the size of the election. I'm talking about the whole mechanism. I'm talking about the democracy. The Honorable Supreme Court has expressed its anguish that the democracy has murdered. So kindly see what it meant. Democracy is like not for that particular mayor election. They did not qualify that it is only for mayor election. It's the whole thing, and it's very painful. The highest body has to come out with such observation. I'm sure they might be also very painful to say this.
Viplavji, now later in the year we also have the big elections, the Lok Sabha elections.
Yes.
So to ensure that we have free and fair elections, what measures can the government take, or should the government take?
See, that's the whole point. Again, how if the political parties or the leaders of the political parties or the politicians who are aiming to be in the system to make the government will be very, very impartial. It's not possible. It is only the science, it is only the system, the law, which has been crafted in more than 2.5 years. If you strictly observe that, then only it's possible. If you leave to the choice of any individual, be that me, even I'm talking for myself, if I have a liking of you, and if my discretion is there, I'm going to, howsoever indifferent and howsoever scientific mind I am, but I will be done by my mind and my emotions for you. It's not practical, it's not doable. These things are, the whole concept is, you need to actually see, once somebody who is at the helm, that is, I'm talking about the highest judiciary, the executives and the legislature, they have to have a collective responsibility, responsible persons to make a committee and then see that what kind of a democracy we're looking at to ourselves, to our country, and then how it can be achieved. Then how it can be achieved is that election commission is not an integral part of any of the wing, so it has to be separate. Then how you can practically make a separate? You have to have a separate qualification courses, and then make them give examination, which is only making them to work, qualify and work for holding elections only. It is a specialized field altogether, which has to stay away from all three wings of the, except for the judiciary, because they have to be accountable. The conduct has to be examined one way or the other. And judiciary, why I'm saying this is because they don't play any role in the appointment of the judges. And judges are professionally qualified. They have judicious trained mind to see, read law, to understand, to know things as to how these things have been given effect to. That's the reason why they have to be made accountable to. So I'm not saying there is a murder of the democracy because of this particular incident which we are discussing about. It's not there. Where is the accountability? There are many election petitions, you would have covered many election petitions. What is the fate of that? Little said than the better.
Viplavji, thank you very much for joining in. I think
I'm sorry,
that was
it was my very, very independent opinion. Maybe for liking on this.
No. Definitely, it really helped our viewers to get an insight of how important the case is and what importance does a free and fair election hold in a vibrant democracy like India.
Yes.
And the importance of various institutions like Election Commission of India.
Yes.
Yeah. So viewers, the news for the day is that the Supreme Court has ordered the production of the ballot papers and the entire video of the Chandigarh mayor polls by 2 p.m. tomorrow. The Supreme Court has clearly said that no re-election would take place. The recounting of the votes would take place. The votes that were first considered as invalid by the returning officer Anil Maish will be now counted. It would be interesting to see what will be the fate of the three councillors who just yesterday switched from Aam Aadmi Party to BJP, saying that they got inspired by Prime Minister Modi's work, while the matter was already sub judice. And also, what is interesting is that the Supreme Court has also come down heavy on the returning officer Anil Maish and said that he should be prosecuted for defacing the ballot papers. So that is the news for the day. We are going to keep you posted regarding any updates in this case. But for that, you have to subscribe to HW News English. If you wish to support us, please download our new app. It's called News Shorts. Download the app and stay updated on current affairs in minutes.